Hey everybody, it's Maria from What's the Story with Maria. How's it going? Welcome to our show. Tonight is Tuesday, August 29, 2023. So we're towards the end of the summer. How do I know it was the end of the summer? How do the Italians always know it's the end of the summer? The Feast of St. Anthony was this weekend in the north end of Boston where I grew up. So that's how we know school's right around the corner, and that's getting started. Now, we don't go by the usual pumpkin spice latte clock that the rest of you go by. We go by the St. Anthony Feast. So, anyway, tonight is such a big deal for our show because our guest is just phenomenal. We're going to have an amazing time. She is an author. She's a writer. She's a comedian. She is spectacular. She is Hot Pants in Hollywood. That's the name of her book. Her name is Susan Silver. Leo, hit that promo.
Yeah, big fish, small pond, the day's free and the night's long. I create my own reality. Who I am is fine with me. I'm as famous, I'm as famous as I wanna be. Who I am is fine with me. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's fine with me. It's who I am. It's who I am.
So, anyway, we're going to bring on our guest in a little while. Her name is Susan Silver. She wrote so many things for so many sitcoms that you watched. It is the story of your life. I'm telling you, if there was a sitcom soundtrack to your life, this woman wrote for it. So I love the book, and I spoke to her yesterday on the phone, and what a joy. So we're going to bring her on in a little while. We just want to say hi to some of our viewers that pop on every week. Danielle of Dee's Enlightened Edits has joined us. Happy Tuesday, Maria, Leo, and Susan. Yes, that's right, because Danielle knows Susan. We talked about that. So how cool. That's going to be really cool. So I can't say enough about Danielle. Danielle is a spiritual medium. She is a healer. She is a teacher. She does all kinds of things. I had a quantum session with Danielle that, people say, oh, life-changing, but it really is life-changing. I saw the world in a different way after my session with Danielle. I also had a mini spirit reading, animal spirit reading, and that was incredible. And so I can't say enough about Danielle from Dee's Enlightened Edits. Last week she was on our show. She popped in to help out because it was my mom's birthday, and she popped in, and we talked about Valerie Harper too, because Valerie Harper, who's my favorite sitcom actress of all time and favorite character of all time, is Rhoda. So how crazy that we were talking about that last week, because her birthday is the same as my mom, and then we're going to have Susan on this week. So it's beautiful. Everything's working out as it should in the universe, right, Danielle? Lori Towers, speaking of things working out in the universe, Lori Towers, our mutual friend, has joined us. Lori, I don't know if your ears were burning yesterday, but we were talking about how much we love you, and Lynn and I always talk about how much we love you. Lori, you are very loved, Lori. I don't know if you know that, but you should know that. So Lori's with us. Lynn Portis, we were just talking about you. Lynn Portis, genius. Leo, did you want to say something?
I wanted to say I love Lori too.
Oh, see? Leo loves Lori too. Of course he does. How can you not love Lori Towers? Lynn Portis Genius has joined us. And Rick Sudi Caritas has joined us. Love Rhoda, Valerie Harper. Yes, Rick, you're going to love, because Rick is a writer as well. You are going to love tonight's show. Do not go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Get whatever you need to get you situated.
Rick brings up a wonderful point.
Yes.
Those friends that are getting ready to send in your aprons for the 2024 What's the Story with Maria, nothing but the apron calendar.
Thank you, Leo. As a matter of fact, I ordered a bunch of new aprons. They're in this bag. I haven't even opened it yet. It came today. Oh, there it is. Mr. August. Elliot Roth and his dog Bacon are modeling. They are Mr. and Mr. August. So,
Mr. August.
yes, Mr.
cute.
and Puppy August. So if you don't know what we're talking about, we have nothing but the apron calendar. And what it is, because of course we have merchandise, right? And one of our merch items, thank you, Leo, one of our merch items is our apron. And now we have a nothing but the apron calendar where our listeners send in pictures of themselves wearing nothing but the apron. There is Mr. February, head manual. Oh my God, guess who's going to be February this year? Adrian Christian. Adrian Christian, I know. That hottie that was on our show.
Oh my
a few weeks ago.
goodness. This is going to be another torturous year of editing the calendar.
I know. The thing about Leo, and I have to give him a special shout out, because Leo has the tireless task of combing through pictures of scantily clad people and
The
having to
treacherous
choose.
work.
I know.
The sacrifice.
Listen, better you than me, because you could go blind.
I mean, yeah, sure. Mhm.
So anyway, if you are someone that would like to be in our calendar or nothing but the apron calendar, we do have, I think, 5 or maybe 6 months are already taken. Lauren Muffson's going to be in it. Yes, Chuck from the Duplex is going to be in it. We have Braley is going to be it. Do you know Braley and Zach from the Duplex?
I do not know. Zach?
No. Zach, but wait do you see his really hot Dominican boyfriend?
Okay, yes.
You're
He's been on the show before, so I've seen a picture of them.
You're going to freak out. So we have some hotties for next year, but we have this year. We're only in August.
Oh, yeah.
So we have September coming up. We have September coming up. And as a matter of fact, let's talk about Mr. and Mrs. September.
That's
because-
a great segue.
Thank you, Leo. I learned it from you. So, okay, this is David Foley Jr. and his beautiful wife, Carrie Lynn, who I had the privilege of sitting next to yesterday. Guess where I was? So yesterday, Dave Foley Jr., who's an amazing singer and a friend of mine from a Boston guy, texted me and said, listen, I have one extra ticket to the last rehearsal of Funny Girl that is going on tour. So Funny Girl was on Broadway for I'm going to say at least a year. And now it is going on tour with a stellar cast. I had the privilege of watching their last rehearsal. It was me and maybe tops 50 friends and family. Oh my God. It was in a dance studio on 42nd Street. There was a piano player and a drummer and the cast. And I'm not just saying this because my friend Dave is in the production, but if you can catch this tour, it will blow you away. The dancers were so brilliant. The dancing is brilliant. Dave Foley Jr. Plays Tom Neely, the Irish, the theater owner. And he's so funny and wonderful. And he, of course, has got pipes. The young lady who plays Fanny Bryce hits every comic note she should. And her voice is beautiful. And I got to tell you, one of my songwriting idols, of course, is in it, Miss Melissa Manchester. She plays Fanny Bryce's mom. Nailed it. Nails it. Now, I know a lot of our friends are huge Melissa Manchester fans that come onto the show and watch it. And I can't say enough about Melissa Manchester. You're going to see her in a different light, though. It's not the Melissa you're used to. You're used to seeing Melissa as a songwriter. She is acting in this, and she's fantastic. So please, if you are anywhere near, I know they're opening in Rhode Island, and they are going across the country. So try to catch Funny Girl on Broadway. Hold on one second. I'm checking okay, there it is. I watch our show on 2 different platforms because a lot of people text in. So I just want to that's my recommendation for the week. I was so moved, actually. The very end of the show is so moving. We all started crying. It was beautiful. Yes, don't cry out loud, Rick. You are right. Looking forward to being okay. So Rick Sudi Caritas is our Mr. June. I hope you're ready for that, Jelly. That's it. That's all I'm saying. So Rick, I'm very excited. Okay,
And I tell you, it's already hot in California.
it is.
So when you
already-
sent those pictures, yeah,
I know. You're already having all kinds of heat issues out there. You're very close.
having a heat wave.
I know. Oh, look at you doing the shimmy again.
Tropical heat. Oh, the shimmy's coming.
So Leo, I know your class is starting tomorrow. Your adult cabaret class.
Yeah.
Break a leg, honey. I'm so
I'm
proud
really
of you.
excited about it. I've got some surprise people coming up from Hemet. They're going to be driving up the mountain. They want to take the workshop. So
It's going to be amazing. You have to keep us posted.
we should really do, based
Oh.
on Susan's career, we should really open a cabaret song, just a cabaret on TV show themes. We
Yeah,
could do it with her. We could do it with her resume.
yeah, we really could do it with her resume. So I kind of say, without further ado, we should. The girl who can turn the world on with a smile it's not necessarily married tonight. I think it's Susan Silver.
Come on, let's get happy.
Let's
Come on,
bring her
get
in.
happy.
There she is.
Oh,
Susan.
guys, how am I going to follow this? I mean, come on.
Well, listen, we had to really work on our opening because we're like, oh my God, it's Susan Silver. We better be good tonight. So, Susan, welcome.
Can I be naked in an apron? First, I have to show you my T-shirt. It says, "I was socially distant before it was cool." And I haven't left the house in years, and now I'm like getting back to meeting people. So I don't know if I'll be crazy or what.
I don't listen. Anything can happen. That's the That's the thing. Listen, one thing about COVID, I will tell you, because I'm a workaholic. I was forced to stay put, and crazy things happened. It's like your brain just goes to another place. But you weren't really a homebody.
Yeah.
before.
No.
No.
Look, I'm the only child. I'm a writer. I know how to live by myself. I thought I'm going to be the greatest old lady that ever lived. And by the second year of COVID, I was like nuts. I hadn't left the apartment but 20 times to go to the dentist and the bank.
Yeah, well,
And that's crazy. But I have a garden, which is really nice in New York.
that's nice.
Outside, but it was a crazy time, and I'm just starting to get back now to normal or whatever.
Whatever the new world is. Yeah, it's a whole new world. But there were silver linings to it too. Now you have a book. You have an amazing book that I just finished yesterday.
Just happen to have it here.
I love it. So
And I just have to give credit to my illustrator, Joey Heiberg, did a cartoon of me. The legs are great and thin. The boobs could have been bigger, but that's okay. It's okay.
yeah, well, listen. I mean, I think that everybody has that issue. I think everybody always says, "Well,
No, I love it. It's actually good.
it's fantastic. It's fantastic." So, Hot Pants in Hollywood, which I will tell you, I love the title.
Well, the reason the title is I was written up in TV Guide for wearing hot pants. Back in the day, I apologize to all feminists, but Gloria Steinem wore them when she was a bunny or whatever, so it's okay. Anyway, TV Guide did an article, said the writer wore hot pants, and they don't give you, at that time they paid $3,500 for, they don't give you $3,500 just because you have good legs. Now they pay more. My legs are still okay, but I don't write anymore, so it's kind of, a trade-off.
Listen, you know what's funny? You said I apologize to all feminists. I'm a feminist. Don't you dare apologize.
Okay, good.
I read your book. You don't need to apologize to anybody. You set a road for women. You chipped that road. You paved that road. You don't ever have to apologize.
I appreciate that. The Mary Tyler Moore Show came at the same time as feminism, and we really helped each other. There were only one or two women writers before me, and after me on Mary Tyler Moore, they had 25 women writers. So
Wow.
they really changed TV and changed it for women. So Alan and Jim Brooks and Alan Burns did it all.
I love it. I love it. And I mean this. I know you probably hear this all the time, but this sitcom, and I know Leo and all our listeners will completely agree with us, was such a beautiful backdrop to our lives. Like, we followed these characters. We, whatever was going on, it was a different time, as you know. You couldn't just go on YouTube and watch something or binge watch. You sat in front of your TV and you watched these episodes every week.
Saturday night was a good night, and it's just amazing to me that this credit has lived forever. It's the most incredible thing, and you know the documentary that just came out about Mary on HBO, younger people, and it's amazing. It's an amazing experience that I had. I was very lucky.
Yeah, and well, we were lucky. We were lucky that we had you writing for that show, because you were the voice. You were the voice of these characters. So now, let me ask you something, because I'm a writer. I write different things. I'm mostly a songwriter. But if you sat down to write an episode, I love that you talked about your process and certain things. You sat with the producers first, right? They would give you an idea, or would you come up with the ideas?
No, you came in and you pitched your ideas. And I've said this before. I didn't realize you're allowed to make things up. I thought it had to be from your own life. So I came in with 5 stories from my own life. And they thought I was like a genius. Any woman could have come in. My first one was, you have to stand up for the wedding of someone you don't like, and you have to wear an ugly dress. Every woman has gone through that. But guys don't know about stuff like that. So I made up nothing. And when I ran out of ideas for my own life, I was like panicked. But no, you came in, you pitched your stories. They picked the one you liked. And back in the day, we didn't have writers' rooms. We did it all ourselves. We came in to the 2 producers, 2 story editors, Lorenzo Music and David Davis, who were very lovely guys. You pitched your story. They gave you ideas. You went home. You wrote your outline. You turned it in. They gave you notes. Then you wrote your first draft. You turned it in. They gave you notes. And then hopefully they didn't rewrite you very much, which I was lucky they didn't. And then you went to the taping, and it was like an extremely wonderful experience. Now they all sit in a room together and they kind of yell at each other. I'm not into that.
Right. Well, and I know you mentioned somewhere along the line, you mentioned like other women that you really appreciate now, like Tina Fey, and who I also love very, very much. And
Schumer, they all were influenced by the show. Yeah,
I know. And I mean, how could you not be? That's what we were all watching, following. And I love that you talked about Lou Grant, the character of Lou Grant, Ed Asner.
Ed and I were buddies, and he blurred my book, actually. He was a doll. He was a very sexy teddy bear.
I believe that. I can see that.
And Valerie and I were buddies. She was great. Mary, who I wound up, as I told you, living 2 doors from in New York, which is so unbelievable. And her husband, Robert Levine's office was in my building. So that was interesting, but she was a little reserved, a little quiet, and they did this fabulous documentary that I urge everybody to see. It's quite heartbreaking and wonderful.
And do you remember the name of it? I mean, we can look it up, but
oh gosh, now I think it's Being Mary Tyler Moore.
Oh yeah, Leo is amazing. Leo
ahead of us.
Oh my God, Leo is amazing. Being Mary Tyler Moore. So that's everyone. Write that down, because we're going to be. We're going to be watching that. Let's take a second and see if people are asking. Okay. Yes, the audio book is great. Thank you, Danielle. I agree. I personally tend to lean towards audiobooks, because I was telling Susan yesterday, I do a lot of driving, and it's easier for me to listen while I drive. So Danielle says the episode where Mary lies to Rhoda about the job is one of my favorites.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Danielle. Women are different, and guys learn how to play on teams. My ex-husband played basketball with guys he hated, but if they could pass off to the left or whatever, that was okay. Women are a little different, and even our best friends who we love, we don't necessarily want them in our nest, in our place. So when the job comes available for Rhoda, and Mary doesn't want to give it to her, and Lou says, "Ooh, you're rotten like all of us." Of course, Mary wasn't, so she said yes. Of course, she'd give her the job, and Rhoda said, "Why would I want that job? It doesn't even pay." So it's a girl versus boy thing, maybe. I think.
Yeah, and you had to. You can be the most creative mind and have this great imagination, but as men, they couldn't step into a woman's shoes and experience life as she had. So I'm sure they were so happy to have you. It was a different time. I understand that. I was around at that time, as well. I was coming up, but So it was a different time, and you talked to people differently, and you, as a woman, you had to present yourself differently in the world. But I am sure they were so grateful for your voice and your.
They were wonderful in that they literally looked for women. They made it an effort. And as I said, by the time the show was over, there were 25 women that had been writers on it. That's like amazing. And that's why it sounded different. And women, Marlo Thomas on That Girl had started it. She produced her own show, and she was very strict about what she believed in and what she wanted. And my partner, Iris Rayner Dart, who wrote Beaches, and I wrote a That Girl, in which she gets married to Donald, her boyfriend. And Marla said, you know what? I'm not going to marry him. I think I should stay a single girl. And she was the first really feminist TV person. And then Mary kind of opened the door to working and not being there just to have a date, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's a big deal. And now, I mean, I could talk about Mary Tyler Moore for days on end, but you didn't just write for the Mary Tyler Moore show. You had so many, I couldn't believe it. So,
yeah, I wrote for Maude. I did the Maude story was my life. When I went to therapy, my mother said, are you going to blame it all on the mother? I said, of course.
I love that. I love that. Look at this. Yep. Maude was my favorite, but I love what you said, that she was, you know, that character is very intimidating and
very scary. And it was Norman Lear's wife, and she was scary. I was afraid of the Arthur. I don't know. I'm sure she was a nice person, but I was afraid of her.
Sure, I can see that.
And then Bob Newhart, that was easy for me because that was like my husband, my ex-husband. Arthur was very lovely and wonderful, but didn't talk a lot. And Bob was kind of laconic. And so I took two stories from my own life.
Well, that part of the book, I got to tell you, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Please tell Arthur thank you, because I love those stories where you would say, you know, well, this was something that happened to my husband. So I knew this story because my husband had done that. And so I thought to myself, because as you said, these characters are so lovable, right? These guys, you wrote these gentlemen, so they were such lovely guys. And I thought
Bob Newhart was, and you know, the loveliest guy that ever lived. And then his best friend was Don Rickles, who was not the loveliest guy who ever lived. So I never understood that. But
wow,
they admired each other's talents. Bob was the greatest, and Suzanne was fun. I called her a tiny plesh, because that's what a pleshette is. A small plesh. She was racy and fun and had a real mouth on her. And
I love that.
It was really great. Yeah,
what an incredible cast. What an incredible cast. As on the Mary Tyler Moore show, they were perfectly cast. Yeah. Now, speaking of casting, I want to take a second, because you started off as a casting director.
I did, in advertising, and then I saw this show called Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, and I said, oh, that looks like fun, and I got a job as the assistant to the casting director, and he died. I had nothing to do with it, I promise, I swear.
I believe you.
And I was sitting in the chair, and they said, well, let's give her the job. So that was fun, and everybody from Tiny Tim to Richard Nixon came on there, and that was a real hoot.
Do you know that every time that go ahead, did you want to say something, Leo?
I teach kids variety courses, and I always refer to Laugh-In.
Oh, you're kidding?
Everything. Oh, yeah. They just that was an amazing variety show. That was just a show, and these kids need to learn how to be wild, and Laugh-In is a treasure.
Yeah, there was some really fun. Goldie Hawn, of course, and
my favorite.
Amazing.
Joanne Worley and Dan and Dick. I loved them, and yeah, it was fun. But they wouldn't let me be a writer, you know. They wouldn't let me be a writer because I was a girl.
But that was also the beginning of your career, right?
Yeah, I wanted to be a writer, and they said, the boss, George Slaughter, said, you can't be a writer because they're in an apartment and they're wearing underwear and they're farting. I said, well,
what?
And he said, yeah, you can't be there. I said, well, they can fart. Anyway, he wouldn't let me be a writer, so.
That is so funny, but it's also typical of that time, isn't it? I remember in Tina Fey's book, she said that she had a similar experience she had to get used to working with male writers when there were a lot of them, because they would pee in bottles.
Oh my God! Well, maybe that's a good reason I wasn't a writer. Oh,
Yeah, she said that was the one thing. She goes, she said, I can write with these guys. That's not a problem. And she would, but she said they were all, for some reason, they just
peeing in bottles.
Peeing in bottles, and I never forgot that.
Size bottles.
Apparently some of them need. I don't know, but I remember that from her book Bossy Pants, which is that's a great book too. Let's take a second and see what people are writing in. Ed Kutu, who's our friend in Connecticut, he has a wonderful hair salon called Blade, said, "Good evening, friends. We had the privilege of welcoming Valerie, meaning Valerie Harper, to our salon and socializing with her as well when she was performing in Hartford. She really was a lovely person." I believe that. And I was watching one of her interviews today. Just an old interview. Not that, but there's something about her that I loved. I felt like I knew. Maybe because she had the same birthday as my mom, so they had that similar energy.
What month was it? What sign?
She is August 22nd, so she's a Leo. She's on the cusp of Leo and Virgo.
Leos are very arc. She was wonderful, and the characters on the show were kind of like they were in real life. I mean, Mary was reserved and kind and lovely. Phyllis was all over the place. And Val was just warm and fun and not Jewish. She was Italian, but
I know.
Most of us were either Rhodas or Marys, and I was kind of both, so it was easy.
I love that. Now, when you were to write an episode or anything that you wrote, were some of the characters they must have been your feelings. You must have had some feelings when you were writing the women or the men.
Sure, but I mean, the truth of it is, and I talk about it in the book, and I used to teach sitcom writing, you can't go into a show and write a character totally different than they've been created. Those characters were created beautifully, very strongly. It's really a matter of listening. You know that Rhoda sounds different than Mary, that Lou sounds different than Ted, and that's what you have to match the voices. And then maybe in the third or fourth year you can change their character and make it something out of character. But in the beginning you really have to match the way they've been created and learn how to mimic their voices.
Right, but when you would write lines for them, would you hear the line in your head first, or would you just stream of consciousness write and then go back and edit?
It's really smart that you asked that. Some writers, like Trina Silverman, who was the first writer, she was there before me, she really agonized over every word and every sentence. I could never get past the first speech that way. I would sort of vomit it all out and then just go back and rewrite, and then I would read it to my ex-husband, see if it sounded right. But people have different ways of working, but the main thing when you're writing for a show is to really know that show and listen to those voices and know and have a good ear of what they sound like.
Yeah. So now, can you talk a little bit, because I also love this part of the book, you talked about Gary Marshall in such a loving way.
Gary Marshall was my best friend and my manager. Iris Rainer-Dart would come to my office at Laugh-In, and we would close the door and write a Love American Style. Gary managed a group of young writers that he had set up a company for his dad, and Iris was one of those writers. So we wrote a Love American Style, which we sold.
Yeah.
And then when I saw Mary Tyler Moore, I said, "Oh, Gary, I can do this show." And Iris took a break to have a baby, and I was still working at Laugh-In. He said, "But you've never written alone." I said, "I know, but I could do this. I grew up in Milwaukee. She grew up in Minneapolis. Same thing. I worked at a small TV station. She did too." So he said, "Okay, I'll get you in there." And because it was Gary Marshall who said he'd back me up, they saw me. Otherwise, I never would have gotten in the door. And then I started on top. That was my first show, and I say it was downhill for the next 20 years because nobody was ever that great to work for us, that group.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes it's hard when you get the best of the best in the beginning.
I will tell you how lucky I was for two reasons. I've told you that aside from the fun showbiz stuff and the baby boomer stuff and everything, the 3 R's in my book are resilience, reinvention, and relationships. And I was not resilient at all. And I didn't realize till I read my book that I grew resilient. Had I failed the first time or had it been a bad experience, I don't think I would have had the guts to continue. But because I started on top, right, and I had all this publicity and the TV Guide article and everything, and I didn't have to take shows that were mean to me. I could only do it where I wanted to, but, and if someone was going to rewrite, I never went back, and it was just, I was so lucky. But resilience is crucial.
Mm-hmm.
And reinvention, I believe every 20 years you have to reinvent yourself as we're living older. After 1989, we had another Writers Guild strike, and I wish to all the writers now, it's horrible. But I moved to New York and I retired, and I worked for a Holocaust organization. So Gary said, in show business, you're a hyphenate. You're a writer, director, or an actor / waiter. He said I was a writer / Nazi hunter, because I went to work for the Anti-Defamation League and then the Simon Wiesenthal Center at the UN. So I had a kind of a reinvention. So that's my second hour.
I love that. And that part of your book was really intense, and your passion for that, and those soldiers.
I have 3 soldiers, 3 Israeli soldiers from the Friends of the Israel Defense Force. Thank you for mentioning it. I don't have family, children. So they're my 3 sons, and now they're grown with careers and children, and I'm very close to them now even. We sent them to college through an impact program. Yeah, and it's the greatest thing. You get much more out of it than they do, it's a wonderful relationship I have with 3 wonderful boys. But relationships are the last thing. I'm a baby whisperer. I have to find babies and adopt them. And I'm so lucky. Speaking about not leaving the house, next door to me is a corporate apartment, and people would come and go, and different people. Now there's a family living in there with a baby of 1 year old, another baby 6, and another little girl 8, and they're my family. So those are the 3 R's: resilience, reinvention, and relationships.
I love that. And you know what else I wanted to, you sometimes you were almost apologizing for some of the things that you did along the way, but I didn't feel that I needed, as a reader, I didn't need that. Like, I loved reading your relationship stuff. It was so honest. I think
I was a bad girl. I had
good for you. Good for you.
Some naughty relationships. Yeah.
Good for you. Go, girl.
But now, could someone please come and marry me?
Well, be careful what you ask for.
Listeners, please. Tall, smart, not a trumper. That's the most important thing.
I'm right there with you.
Doesn't have to be funny, because I'm funny. Likes to travel and has grandchildren. That's it. That's
okay. I love that.
Sexy, but hey,
All right. So if listen, if you're out there or somebody really,
please call Maria. Get in touch.
Okay, and listen, we'll put. You never know. Wouldn't that be something?
Wouldn't
that be something? How did you meet? Well, I heard she was shopping on the What's the Story with Maria, and that's how we figured it out. Leah.
Can we call it Hot Pants in New York?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, we got to get some new alliterations, but hey, listen, we'll work on that. We'll work on the title.
That would be amazing.
Let's take a second, and Rick says Cloris wasn't as nice, laughing out loud, so as Rhoda. Well, Cloris was so funny. I don't think she had to be nice, right?
I don't know that she wasn't nice. She was just kooky.
Yeah.
She would never stand where she was supposed to, and she would make things up, and she was, fine.
She was what you expected.
I don't think she was not nice. I think she was nice. Just crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I love, and all those Mel Brooks movies that she did. Oh my God.
Yeah, she was
hysterical. And he also laughed at Not a Trumper, LOL. Well, we're right there with you. Maria connects everyone. She's going to find him. I will find. Listen.
Uh-oh.
No, you don't understand. I'm very good at this. So
this
I will
be so amazing.
You just text me an age range and who would play. Okay, so who would play him in the movie or sitcom? Who would play?
Well, back in the day, it would be George Clooney. I mean, there's no one better.
I love that.
And then he could age into be Sean Connery, who was dear friend.
I like that.
Yeah. Somewhere in between those two would be.
That's sexy. That's sexy. Little salt and pepper, as they say. Little beautiful.
And hair. Now, one thing I want to say that silver is the new blonde. During the pandemic, I did this. I went from bleaching.
I love it personally.
To this, and I love it. Who knew it would be this color? And it saves $4,000 a year.
Oh my God, I know. Listen, my family's in the hair business.
The guy that wrote in with the hair thing, I hope he thinks this is okay because I cut it myself.
You did?
Yeah, but it's the wildest color. Who knew it would be this color? And people stop me on the street and they say, and even guys, is that your real color? Yeah.
No, it's beautiful. I
kind of like it.
Look at you. Look at you go.
My name. Thank God my name wasn't fuchsia or green or something. That would
Right. Listen, count your blessings, right? Okay, so we're putting it out there in the universe, and Danielle, our spiritual healer, is out there.
Oh.
We're looking for a hottie somewhere in between George Clooney and Sean Connery, you said?
Yeah, at least 5'10", between 65 and 75.
Okay.
And what's about, and good, nice. My husband was a lovely person, still is.
Okay, you're friends. I love that you're still friends.
I need somebody who will talk.
Okay.
Communicates a little.
Yeah. So you want to have good conversation, but you don't need him to be funny because you're the funny one. Okay, but you need someone that gets your humor.
Yeah.
That always helps.
But let's just reiterate, what's the most important thing? Not
Trumper. Right.
Okay.
No MAGA. MAGA, yeah. There are other little avenues for you to go down, but not Fifth Avenue. Yeah. So, okay. All right. So now I just lost my train of thought, but I wanted to ask you about. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you about. So there were men along the way, famous men that were interested in, right? And I know my favorite part of the book. I won't mention it yet, but so there were certain guys that you really. You know,
Elvis, me and Elvis.
You and Elvis?
Elvis did ask me out to a party. I was in Viva Las Vegas. I was that showgirl on the right side. Oh, great. And in my gold outfit with my headdress. And he had the Memphis Mafia working for him, 6 guys that were always there. And they said, Elvis is having a party. Would you please come tomorrow night? And I was living with my uncle in California. He said, no, you can't go. I said, why not? He said, because it's Elvis. Are you crazy? I said, please, I want to go. He said, okay. So the party was, I'm going to say 7, I don't remember. And I got there fashionably late, 7:30, and I knocked on the gate thing, and it opened up, and there was one car, Elvis's Cadillac. So I said, this is going to be a party of just the 2 of us. I better not go. And I backed out.
Wow.
And the other guys there, Steve McQueen, Jimmy Garner. Yeah, I was fortunate to have met them and had little interesting episodes that are in the book. I'm not going to tell them all.
No, don't. But these are, I love it. Steve McQueen. And then I mean, my favorite part of the book for me was the, God, it just went blank. He was at the convention, remember, with the chair. I'll just say that.
Clint Eastwood.
Right. But I
three times with Clint Eastwood opportunities, and it turned out really funny. So
I love that part of the book. There's some amazing stories in this book. And you said yesterday we were talking, you said there was a lot of name dropping, but to me it wasn't so much name dropping as it was your life. It was your life.
It's amazing because of Laugh-In. I met so many people. Both Steve McQueen and Jimmy Garner came to Laugh-In, even though I had met Steve McQueen before. But yeah, between that and then my life in politics, I was very involved with Clinton campaign and other things. And then my life in the Holocaust world, I met all the Israeli ambassadors and whatever. So yeah, I met a lot of people. And Frank Langella named his book Name Dropping, so I couldn't name my book that.
Yeah,
there's Bill. I did not have sex with that man. Okay. We are friends.
I will tell you, though, I'm a huge Bill Clinton fan. And I love Hillary as well. So but he was very nice to you. I mean, the way you described.
I fundraised. I wanted to be a speechwriter, and as we would go to the fundraising things, we could never get him through. There's pictures of me pushing him through. He would stop and talk to everybody, and everybody felt like they were having his full attention. He was so good at that, and
he was very charismatic.
Great president.
Yeah, so that part of the book I just loved. I was so happy. I was like, and you know what I really, really loved about how you handled men is that you weren't afraid to go up and talk to people. Like I think
I have like weird. When I did casting, it was easy for me because on my honeymoon, I wrote about this in the book. Poor Arthur, he should have learned that. As we were in Maui, I saw David Jansen walking down the beach, so I ran after him on my honeymoon to ask him to come on Laughing, because I had to ask everybody to come on Laughing. I have two talents. I'll go up to anybody.
I love that.
I know exactly how much to pack on a vacation. I never take too much or too little. I am the world's greatest packer.
Wonderful.
No use to anybody but me.
Well, I'm sure people would pay big money for that kind of thing, because most of us overpack.
You see, wear one color. That's the secret. And all your accessories are one. Like I'll wear beige, then you have brown and gold. I'll wear white and black. You do one color and all your accessories match.
Beautiful. I love that. Okay, let's just check to see if anybody else has any questions or anything. So Danielle says, I love Susan's honesty in the book. The audiobook is like a late night conversation between friends. Highly recommend. I could not agree more.
Thanks. It was so great to do the audiobook. I really loved doing it, except when I got to the sad parts about my parents.
Of course. I could hear that in your voice as well.
I had to stop during my dad's illness because I had to.
I'm sure.
But yeah, because, in a memoir, you should do it yourself. I can't imagine having an actor or actress read your life. I mean, that would be weird.
I mean, some people do it. I've heard other people do it. There are certain, like, I think I was, Cicely Tyson's book, I listened to, and she did the foreword, but by the time it was written, I think her voice was really
interesting.
Yeah, and then Viola Davis took over. But
Viola Davis.
There were different. And also in there's a couple of books like that, but I always prefer the author to read it.
Oh, yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. So I remember that when you said you wrote certain scripts, then you would listen to the actor read it. So people always ask, like, when you listen to the actor read it, how does that feel for you? But here's my question to you: when you listened back, because you wrote the book, and the book is very funny as well, and some of it is very factual, and some of it is sad, of course. But when you listen to yourself read it back, were there things that you learned or heard differently when you heard yourself read it?
That's such a good question. Do you know, this is going to sound really crazy. I didn't listen to myself the whole book. It was too hard. I listened to some just to make sure it was okay.
Yep.
Asked who was the director in the booth, was that okay or something I wanted to do over. But I don't really think I listened to the whole book ever.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I can understand that. I think I may be the same way, I mean, Barbara Streisand doesn't even listen to her recordings.
No, it's like people say to me, are you going to write another book? I am so exhausted from my life. I couldn't write another book. I don't want to know anymore. But it was a very full life.
You covered a lot of territory. I mean, from the beginning of your career, and all the way to your parents, that sad part of your life.
I was a child, and I had to commute and take care of my parents as they were ill in Wisconsin, and I was very lucky that I had the opportunity to do that and spend that time with them. And yeah, so in the book there are fun things and showbiz things and sexy things, but there's also a lot of baby boomer stuff. Those of us
I'm right there with you,
who have gone through illness, who are parents, whatever, so.
Yeah, and history, like while you're listening or reading the book, you are actually taking a trip, a very historical trip.
Even though I'm only between 50 and death.
Well, exactly.
The name said I'm only between 50 and death.
And I love that. Listen, as am I. So
I especially in the womb. I mean, it was, my mother said it hurt.
Listen, you started young and you did a lot of great things, more than most people. Now, if it's okay with you, we are going to take a quick break. We do our food section of the show. I always cook for the show.
Oh, I wish you'd come cook for me. I don't know how to cook.
Well, listen, don't tempt me, because I'm a very, very, very good cook.
Ooh.
And I could always drop something off on my way, because I do work downtown.
Tonight I didn't even have dinner. I would love it.
Well, you know what? We will make a plan where I will drive by. It'll be a drive-by, and I will drop something
Throw it out to the doorman.
delicious off to you. I'll give it to Carlton the doorman. How about that?
Right. Great.
Now, wait, wasn't that Lorenzo music?
Yes. Oh, good. How do you know that?
Because I'm a huge Rhoda fan, and I loved Carlton the Door. Even when I say Carlton the doorman, I start laughing.
He was fun.
And someone said that it was Lorenzo music. Isn't that crazy? I love that. I love the backstories. The backstories are the best. Okay, so what did I make? Oh, by the way, do you have a certain food that you love, that you wish you did cook?
I don't eat steak because I can't digest it anymore. I don't eat a lot of meat. I order from Fresh Direct and I make the prepared things.
That's nice. That's a nice.
No, and today I didn't know how to make those little hot dogs with the wraparound, and I don't know if I cooked them enough, so I didn't eat them because I was afraid. It said it has to be 160 degrees or you'll die. So I didn't eat.
See that? Okay, Susan, that's an episode right there. And then somebody comes along comes along and just eats them and doesn't die. And you wonder, why didn't I eat those? I know. All right, so what did I cook tonight? I usually am on a low carb diet, but I'm not. I'm off of that. I went to a wedding a few weeks ago and just flew off the handle. But anyway, I made a delicious artisan pasta. This is beet flour and spinach flour was used in this. And so what did I use? I have to read it because I put so many ingredients in my food that I don't remember what I put in as I did.
You make things with flour?
No, I didn't make the pasta. I bought the pasta at Trader Joe's, but I do read the ingredients all the time. But I made everything else. The pasta was made by Trader Joe's, but so this is farfalle pasta. Farfalle means butterfly, and I sliced some garlic in olive oil. I put some truffle butter, capers, peas, and black olives.
Ooh, I love olives.
Yeah, I love olives too. And now, Susan, this was for you. I don't know if you can see it, but I wanted to capture the green and orange that you talked about.
Are my favorite color combinations.
Are your favorite color combinations. And I love that part of the book where you bought that T-shirt. I think it was the Israeli. Right? And you said
it. You really
happened to be. So I wanted that's in honor of your favorite colors. And then, hold on one second. Let me get the salad. I didn't realize it was so far away. It's just a little bit of a low-budget show here. All right, so this salad is also, I got the green and the orange in here as well. And I have romaine lettuce here, carrots, celery, gorgonzola cheese.
Oh,
yeah, I know, I love it. That's an Italian blue cheese, gorgonzola cheese. And then I'm going to put a blackberry ginger balsamic vinegar and a toasted sesame olive oil. And this, yes, I love to make delicious things.
That with the gorgonzola is going to
one of these days, I'm going to tell you, we're going to plan it. It won't be a total surprise. I will tell you, I'll say, Susan, I'm going to drop off something delicious.
Oh my
Have
God.
Carlton the doorman get it.
Yeah.
You know, Louise, I'm gonna cook for Louise Sorrell. I know she's your friend too.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll plan something.
We'll have a little dinner party she lives around the corner. What's that?
This is the biggest. I love that you were like. This is the biggest chocolate chip cookie I've ever seen. My friend Ed Troy bought it for me from Chip City. It's a cookie place I never heard of, but the cookies are magnificent. I love that you're holding that up. Oh, you're trying to grab it, Leo?
Give me that cookie.
Ooh, I want it.
It's delicious. All right.
I eat chocolate chip cookies every night.
Oh my God, I love them. I love chocolate chip cookies. I love Levain. Have you ever had Levain chocolate chip cookies?
No, I eat Tate.
Oh, Tate's are great. Those are delicious. And they're crunchy too.
Yep.
But Levain, delicious. They're not aesthetically pleasing, but I don't care.
Why, they look like veins? What are they?
No, they look like a giant blob. Like somebody just threw a blob and said, throw that in the oven. Hurry up. And there it was. But they're delicious. And this is Chip City. So we're going to make this happen. Louise, Amanda McBroom, I promised them I'll cook for them. Maybe what I'll do is I will cook here, because I'm a little bit of a messy cook, And then we will have the dinner party at one of your beautiful places, because your apartments are much nicer than mine. I live in Washington Heights, and everything's falling apart. But I am a great cook, and I will bring it.
Oh
And we'll
gosh,
get to
you got
sit,
it, honey. You
hang
got it.
out, and we're going to invite Lori Towers too.
Absolutely.
She is our buddy. Lori says that looks absolutely beautiful. Thank you, honey. Please cook for them. I will, Lynn, and maybe Lynn should come too. Lynn is my best friend and musical director, and also a great friend of Lori's. Man, to be a fly on that wall. Can you imagine me, you, Lori, Lynn, Louise Sorrell, and Amanda McBroom? What? Forget it. All right. Lori makes shit happen, says Lynn. Yes, Lori does make shit happen. That's for sure. Now, we have about 10 minutes left to our show. So let's just for a second talk about food again. What is your comfort food? What is your what do you eat when you're really happy? Like if you have chocolate. Me
I
too.
love chocolate more than anything, and I have this stomach issue, which we won't go into.
Well, we
But,
all do, I think, as we get older.
So I have to be careful what I eat. But I get these chocolate-covered almonds from Fresh Direct, and I eat the chocolate around the almond. I don't eat the almond. I give myself 8 a day.
Oh, I love that.
I love it so much, and I love chocolate chip, and I love popcorn,
Me
and I love
too.
hamburgers. I do eat hamburgers. I used to make lamb chops, but every time I cook, I have a fire in my kitchen, and and the alarm goes off. So I had them disconnect the alarm because it's embarrassing.
I love it. All right, that's funny. See, that's an episode too. It's very funny. That's
I
great.
like is a comedy.
I know. Well, you know what? I think most of our lives, if we looked at them a certain way, you have to see the humor in things.
Well, you have to. You can't get through things. I mean, even in the book, as you know, when I've been in the hospital, having almost died several times, I find the humor in it. You have to. How else do you exist?
Absolutely. And I love that about you. I love that you did find the humor in things.
Can I say one thing that
anything you want.
Anybody who's in the hospital, I have a list of things not to do. But if you're a woman, the most important thing is a little naughty, but it's okay, is not to let a male attendant give you a you-know-what exam. You know, with the thermometer. Just don't.
Listen,
They want to come in and do it, whether you want it or not.
I'm going to take that advice. Everybody, write that down right now.
No rectal exam from a guy.
That's it. And I'm sure there's a million other things. There was so many.
That stopped everything, right?
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. Because now I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
Now you have me picturing it, and I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to do that.
You have to be your own advocate. When I was in the hospital, I had a series of strange things happen to me, which you'll read about in the book. But one of them was I swallowed the shard of a chopstick, which was in Chinese food that I had ordered in, and I didn't know it because I was eating with a fork. So they said, don't order in Chinese because they take stuff off the table and put it into cartons. But anyway.
I couldn't believe that part of the book. I was like,
yeah,
what?
and it took 7 days for them to figure out what it was because wood does not show up on any x-rays and stuff. So I used to walk out and write things in my chart because it was a teaching hospital and they kept coming in and questioning me and not talking to each other. So you have to have an advocate when you go in the hospital.
No, you have to. I had a similar, not that kind of, but I had to be my own advocate when I had surgery a few years back. I wanted to keep telling you, I don't want to be on this certain medication, and they just wouldn't listen.
Oh my God.
And finally I spoke to one nurse. She was lovely. She was from Trinidad. I can't do her accent, but she understood.
Right.
And she said, I'll take care of it. But I had to. So I agree with you. You do have to be your own advocate.
It's scary.
Yeah. But, okay, well, Leo, would you pop up that, the website that people, you can get it, you can get this book many places, but let's send them to hotpantsandhollywood.com, just the way it sounds. Go and check that out. You can also look Susan Silver up, and all kinds of amazing things come up. But go to Hot Pants on Hollywood, and you'll be able to order that beautiful book.
One quick thing. I'm not the Susan Silver who was the wife of Chris Cornell, the rock and roll person. She's like bigger than I am, so she comes up first. But if you say
I don't think so.
TV, I'll come up. Oh, really?
Today I Googled you,
And I came up.
You came up first.
Oh, yay!
Yeah. So I love to Google, my friends. And I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything. So I said, let me just go and do my homework. I've written things down from the book, and I have also, we spoke
You
yesterday.
really read it, boy. You really did.
I loved it. It was wonderful, and it was fun. And that's the only thing I wanted to tell you. Don't you ever apologize to any feminist for anything. You were a trailblazer. You lived that life, and you wrote so that the rest of us could have the well, I was right there with you because we're around the same age. But these other young girls had the privileges they have now because of people like you. So don't you ever. And I think hot pants are wonderful. We all wore them too. We wore hot pants. We wore mini skirts.
When I did the book party, my best friend's a guy who is in the cosmetics industry, and I said, "Can I wear hot pants?" He said, "No, not at this point." But I still could.
Yeah, good for you. I love it. I loved it. So now, do you sitcom classes? You said that you taught for a while, right?
To the TV Academy here in New York, and we had a wonderful program at the Museum of TV and Broadcasting, the Paley Center. We don't do it anymore. It's too bad. You know, the best thing to do is watch the show you like and then write a script and send it to another show, because don't send it to the show that you like, because they know their show better than anybody else. So if you like this show, if you like Maude, send it to Mary. You know, that's the way.
Right. Wow, I love that. So, I love those old shows so much. I think the writing was, I don't know, maybe things now just don't.
Well, Veep was a great show now.
Veep, I loved Veep.
My 2 shows, but I don't watch a lot of comedy now. I'm watching the news, unfortunately.
Me too. And I do want to thank you for something else that you said. That reality TV, for me, has poisoned. I'm angry about reality TV. I feel
I don't know them personally, but I blame the Kardashians for everything.
Me too.
And that's how we got Donald Trump. That and that jerk who produced him on The Apprentice. If they hadn't been on neither one, we wouldn't be in the shape we're in now. So
I agree with you,
America, folks. And
I think they've done more to pull women backwards.
And she's a billionaire.
Of course, she's a billionaire, but I don't know. I think they're awful. And all that reality stuff is just, it ruined it for writers. It ruined it for actors. It set this kind of like very low bar for anything.
I agree with you.
But I think we're coming out of it. I do feel like we're starting to come out of it. You know?
I'm very worried. I'm very worried about politics in this country. 2024 could be the end of democracy in America, everybody. So please get out and vote for the good guys.
Listen, you know what I do religiously? I do postcards to swing states.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
I've been doing it for years.
Carrie, on NPR, it's called Susan Says, Robin Hood Radio, WHDD. And I always do politics, media, and things that piss me off. And things that piss me off are noise in the city and Donald Trump. So those are my 2 things.
I love it. Yeah, so this is, if you want to get involved, there's so many different ways to get involved. The most important thing is, so this is turnoutpack.org/postcards. And I order 250 cards. I mean, you can order as little as 100. And then they send you a link to registered Democrats in swing states, and you send them a little reminder to get out and vote. The day they give you they give you the script, but you can also improvise a little bit. And I write them, thank you for voting, thank you for you make a difference. And because I know when I get something like this in the mail, it reminds me to get out.
I've never gotten anything like that. That is amazing.
Guess what? I'm going to send you a postcard for even though you're not in the swing state. I'm sending it anyway.
Okay.
But that's something I do. Figure out what you can do to save our democracy. Whatever it is, folks out there, that you can do, please register your young people, because I personally believe that our young people are going to change this country.
Well, David Hogg is the perfect example. He's my hero.
I love that guy.
He is the greatest kid, and now he's doing all kinds of wonderful things. And local elections are important, too, because now all these school boards and things, we're living in a very precarious time. I just have to say one quick thing. Being involved with the Holocaust and everything, there was a book about fascism And there are many, 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 many parallels that Steve Bannon used to, I won't even say whose name, the orange guy.
Yeah.
And we're living in a very precarious time. It's not that easy to avoid. So please, people.
Yep. I mean, and they're doing it in broad daylight now. It's all happening in broad daylight. So yes,
We should end on a happier note, though. Let's think.
yes,
of
yes. We will end up. No, this is what I need from you. I need you to leave our listeners with something, because we all our listeners are creative people in their own right. Let's all the Partridge Family. You wrote for them as well.
Billy Jones and Hot Pants. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love the Partridge Family. Are you kidding me? All the shows that you wrote for, absolutely are my favorite to this day. So thank you. Thank you for your words. Thank you for your humor. Thank Arthur for all his stories, your ex-husband, Arthur, who I'm a big fan of from listening to the book. I love the way he handles certain things. And I also want to thank you. You talked about that you didn't have imposter syndrome. You had you didn't want to grow up syndrome, kind of where you were. And I identify with that because I feel like I'm stuck in it as a teenager. I'm a perpetual
poor.
Okay, I'll see. All right.
That's why I get along with babies, because I can do the baby thing for hours. Most people get very bored doing da 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 da, but I can do it as long as they can.
All right, fantastic. I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, do not deny yourself the pleasure of this book, Hot Pants in Hollywood. It's so entertaining and funny and touching. You will enjoy it. I personally got the audiobook. I loved it. So that's also something that's really fun. But either one, whatever you like. And I want you to leave our listeners. Also, this will go into podcast and Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio, usually 24 hours later. Yeah. So what would you, for creative people, I want you to leave us with some words of inspiration. As someone that had to come up with ideas all the time.
I think you want to be authentic in whatever you do. So look to your own life, look to your own feelings, look to how you can connect. My favorite quote of all time is "Only Connect," which is E.M. Forrester, and that's my motto. I have mottos in my book. To connect with others is the most important thing.
Absolutely, 100%. I can't thank you enough, Susan.
This was the greatest.
Oh, I loved it. I love this hour together, and what a privilege it was to be with you. And I'm sure our listeners feel the same way. Please share the show as many times as you want, and let everybody know about Susan's wonderful book. And Susan, I hope to see you soon. We will talk. We will talk at another time, and I will bring you something delicious. I promise. Okay. Love you, honey. And everybody, we love and appreciate you. Please come back every Tuesday. You can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on Facebook, Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio. Leo, pop in, please. We want to thank Leo, our illustrious sidekick who runs the show. What did you want to say, Leo?
I was confused. Are you guys saying that we have to grow up?
No.
Oh, good, because I'm about to teach Peter Pan to a bunch of young kids, so I don't want to be
I'm 4.
And I'm 14, so I'm staying here. I'm not moving.
And I'm between 5 and 14, between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. a day.
I love it. All right. I love it. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much. We love and appreciate you. See you soon.
Well.
Fine with me to